This is official EMTRI smoke break. We talking about the blockchain. We talking about clones. We talking about unicorns, and talking about what's the latest news that EMTRI has going on.
Yeah,
So
man.
Corey, if you want to chime in, chime in. Jed, if you want to chime in, chime in. You know what I mean? But right now we're just having a basic conversation, working it
You
out.
know, yeah, man. Like I said, I'm smoking on some good Mendocino finding. No, this came out of Willie. Some Purple Kush. You know, peace to the homies. I won't say their name, but it's some fire. But I got that lemon lung slapper on my mind, brother.
Lemon lung slapper coming soon. You can follow it from the clone, right? And for people who don't know that, the clone, the seed, is the beginning stages. And we're going to put that information on the blockchain. So now you can follow your weed from day one. That's the beauty of it. You've never been able to do that before. You can follow your weed from day one. You can see where it comes from. You can see all the grow methods that it took to get to that fine product. And you can be assured that you're getting the best of the best. And no additives or anything, you know, in the product. So that's a good thing. We're following it all the way through to you know, from the beginning. Beautiful thing. Let me see, Jed. So E, tell them about the blockchain, the clones, how that all relates, what it means, um, and why people should really understand this clone move is a real big move in cannabis.
As everybody know, with the blockchain, it's ledgers connecting their blocks to be filled with information about data that is supposed to be truthful, that belongs and attests to a community. As you know, it's out there, public information, and I'm sure the few that we have here understand that. But what it did for EMTRI and our ecosystem, we went back to the drawing board, and being that we were working with some technology development time frames that was not coincide with the universal principle of organic growing under the sun and using
Cut out E.
nature as its ally. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're better. You're back. You cut off for a brief.
Back to what I was saying is when we had the technology, we were under development schedules that was not coincide with how farmers were growing cannabis. At that time we were missing a little bit off of the season. So coming into, we already kind of looked at this season as a unification season to really educate, really reach out to the community and be able to start educating ourselves on the usage and how we can start bringing each other together to work together where we are now. And then we went back to the drawing board and we was looking at the formula and it was like, dude, I mean, it's right in our face. It's flawed, meaning it's flawed in the sense of why are we trying to hold on why are we trying to ease our way, find our way to get attached to with a farmer in the process of him or she doing their cultivation process, which is already a undertaking in itself. And then you're presenting a technology that you don't understand in the midst of someone, where they're going in the ground. Uh, yeah, we're gonna do that. Let me get through this part real quick. So as we looked for the when we went back to the blockchain part of it, we realized that it we needed to really connect with the genetic producers, and then we'll bring Jed in to explain that. But we went back and understood that the system only works from a seed to cell if you're testing and connecting to the genetic producers from a seed mother plant clone. And then we rewrote how we can make that a rewards portion to the system. And thank God we had one of the best all-star players to be introduced to us, to bring into, modify into, make the system even better based on their formula. And so let's bring in Jed, brother, to really talk about the beginning point, and then we can bring it back to the blockchain and how we support it.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring in Jay right now.
All right.
Um, I already invited him. I'm gonna do it
Oh, he
again just in
dropped. He
case.
dropped for a second.
Oh, he dropped out. Okay, that's what happened. All right, cool. Just making sure. All right, so on the blockchain thing, right? Starting at the clone level, what type of information is I guess from just your perspective is available um, on the clone side of this thing? Like what would a person following the blockchain see or following that data trail? What would they see at the clone level?
Okay, Jed, perfect
You know
timing.
what? Jed is in here, so that's probably a better question for Jed.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Um,
It
Jed,
is.
so my question was, I don't know if you heard the whole thing, but what would a person following the data on a blockchain get to see from the clone perspective? What does the clone tell us? What does that clone see genetics? What does it really tell us about a cannabis plant that's coming down the road?
Well, it's the source of the strain that the cultivator is growing and that the consumer is eventually buying. So, it has been a practice in the weed world that, people will rename their stuff whatever they think their buyer wants to hear. So,
Wow.
you got Gelato 41, and I've heard people's, selling it as runts, and then selling it as pretty much anything, jealousy, whatever.
Wow. You know what? Um,
Street.
I had I had I'm not gonna say the kind of weed I had. I smoked some weed. It was in a pre roll, and
Mhm.
it was a brand that came from the store. But I noticed that one, my throat was burning, and two, I got a headache. I never had a headache from weed.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the first time, and it happened recently. Um, is there is there is there ways, I guess, from the genetic side of this thing to understand what the plant can do down the road? Has that concept been I guess touched on, or
Well,
people looking to do that?
it's happening. It's been
Hmm.
happening in Israel for a while because they've been able to do above the board testing on their plants and the effects. Here in the U.S., it's been illegal, and so that hasn't really been something that we've been able to monitor until legalization. And now with legalization, they're really actually are running medical tests to see which terpenes, which THC compounds are affecting what. I mean, we know, uh, you know, CBD can, help with nausea and epilepsy, and certain THC compounds. There's like, there's over 400 of them, can affect appetite, headaches, migraines. So we're actually really starting to have the medical tests and verification starting to come through on that, which we haven't had that before. Um, I feel like what you have experienced probably is less to do with the genetics of it than how it was grown, what sort of
Hmm.
nutrients went into it, if it was sprayed with something. And so that's what, again, where the EMTRI blockchain attestation to by the grower can help the consumer. So your original question was about how the clone and the genetics can affect what's going down the line. Well, starting at the nursery or the breeder, we can say, I swear that this is lemon cherry gelato or lemon lung slapper. And then we pass that on to the cultivator, and a cultivator could go, well, I bought the lemon lung slapper, but I actually want to grow lemon cherry gelato. And so I'm going to call it that. And then they grow, and then they go sell it to the distro person, and that person says, well, I need it to be sour diesel. And so they change that. But if I'm swearing as a nursery that I'm passing it to the grower as lemon lung slapper, they can't change that if they're going to stay in the blockchain. And now when they give it organic inputs and spray it with, pest controls that are organic, and they're attesting to that, when they go and pass that on to the distributor, they're going to swear that they have treated it according to what they have already said. And so, it creates that transparency where, even now, people are spraying with stuff that are legal, they're legal farms, and they're spraying with stuff that isn't showing up on the tests that, the government makes everybody test for. But it doesn't mean that they're not spraying with something that can be giving you a headache or affecting you in a bad way. And so,
Yeah, that was really bad. And it came from a dispensary, licensed dispensary, nice fancy packaging, had all the California stuff on it, everything. But I promise you, my throat was hurting. I had a head. I mean, I had the worst headache I've probably had in I don't know how long. It just was a bad nagging headache, and I'm never actually smoking that weed again.
So
At
my
all.
feeling would be, just hearing what you experienced, would be that the burning throat, probably chemical fertilizers rather than organic fertilizers.
Wow.
The headache could be that as well. Or it could be that something was sprayed on it that, was burning or giving you a headache when you smoked it. So,
Yeah.
I know the indoor is what people consider top shelf because it's, bright and shiny and looks light green, but stuff that's grown under the sun in soil with organic nutrients may not look like that bright, shiny lure, but it's actually a better product. Another thing that the modern testing is starting to reveal is, everybody's thinking about THC levels. Oh, is it 20%? I don't want that. I want, 28 or above. Well, what we're finding is that it's not necessarily the THC content that gives you your effect. The terpenes, which is basically oil compounds, each flower, each strain has different terpene levels and different types of terpenes. They give you the smell, but those terpenes also affect your experience.
Let me ask you a question though, real quick, right? So from just a visual standpoint, let's say someone is running around the streets with Delta 9 or almost like hemp. Is there something visually you can look at from just looking at it to say, oh, wait a minute, dude, this something about this bud structure or some indication of a trichome or something that can lead someone to know? Or are you kind of shot?
No, there's nothing visually that you can tell.
Wow.
I mean, it's like looking at, someone and going, I can tell that you're a fast runner, like you can't by just looking at someone, so, and it's kind of the same way with cannabis. But that's the beautiful thing is, in the old days, it's all just been experience. You smoke it, you smoke that, you're like, I like this because, but we didn't know what the THC contents were. We didn't know what the terpene levels were. We didn't know what the terpenes were. When you get tests now, it lists, 30 different terpenes that they found and what percentage of the terpene profile each terpene was. And so now they're finding like, oh, that limonene terpene, I don't really know. I'm speaking, out my ass as far as like what they do, but what terpene affects what. And they're starting to get into, which terpene combinations are better for this symptom or that symptom. You know, in the last 3 or 4 years, everybody's been like, oh, it's all about THC level. Well, now what I'm hearing is there's THCV, which is the new craze. I'm not sure exactly what it affects, but I hear that that's the next big thing that everybody's wanting to get into is THCV. So
I have to ask Big Rob or down in Vegas who might knows up on it.
he probably would, yeah.
Yeah, in his lab and everything. Let's do this real quick. Maybe there's a question, Bat, that somebody might want to ask Jed about. You know, the genetic side, the clone side, maybe how he's been feeling so far with the usage and bringing it to the blockchain, and let's maybe open it up a little bit for if someone want to raise their hand.
Yeah, anybody have questions, let me know. I'll send out a speaker invite. Yeah, it's an open floor. So if you have anything to say, let us know. Let me acknowledge a few people that just came in. Frost is in the building. Brad Moore from
Whoa.
GCAC is in the building.
Whoa.
Got a guy, Morrison is in the building. Del Fuego is in the building. So cool. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for coming through. We're here just, talking about the latest blockchain clones and unicorns with our guys who know how to do it, growing the best weed in the world.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Brad Moore in the building. Make sure you send that guy a invite to
Yeah,
speak.
yeah. I'm doing it now.
And we like to give a shout out to Brad Moore and the team at GCAC, Canada, Israel, Switzerland. Man, amazing group of people who has been leading us and educating us and watching our back to make sure we deliver a great product, technology that they have put sweat and tears and investments into. And Brad is a long time vet. He's a community lover. He's a team player, man. And I've just been honored to work with this guy. And one thing I can say about him, Brad's gonna make sure he get into your brain and understand this shit so that you can move it forward, man. So we salute you, man, and blow some smoke in your face for that, bro. In a good way. But we're excited to continue to talk about the beginning stages of the growth cycle, the genetic, the seed, the clone, and the importance to be able to deliver the beginning stages of that baby plant, that sweet little girl making her journey to a farm and continue it to be designed to fertile and become as much fruit as possible. So, Brad, why don't you unclick, man, and jump in and say hello and give everybody a little handshake, brother. I know you're going to be in and out, you all around the world. Everybody, welcome Brad Moore, GCAC CEO, leader.
Yo, 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 yo. Dun,
Welcome,
dun, dun,
Brad. Welcome,
dun.
Hey, Brad, man, won't you chime in, man, and give people a snapshot of what's going on in your world and, do you for a second, brother.
Oh, there we
Yes,
go.
sir.
There you go,
Grab the
Brad.
headset sort of. Hey, I was saying there before I figured I wasn't having my mic on. It was like a year ago and changed, couple months, that Eric and I were sharing a stage in MJ BizCon in Vegas in 2021, right? And
Yes, sir.
This guy, yeah. And I felt like a piece of Wonder Bread to him, a Canadian. Like I looked like a stereotypical Canadian hockey player guy, and Eric gets up there, and I was like, "There's a freaking showman. There's a guy who knows cannabis and how to sell it." So I don't really know what I'm going to add beyond what. Look, we're just, we can't think of a better partnership than what we're doing with EMTRI, and I think there's. My wife and I, Susan, were talking about it earlier. I go, really all what we're doing is trying to provide a technology where a customer can have and somebody who makes something, and as Eric's saying, starts with the clone, or having a never-ending conversation, right? And so, like, one of the things you always say to yourself, like, and the question people should say is, like, why blockchain? Like, why do you need another piece of technology, right? And reason why is because it's the only thing that's out there that we've seen, and the reason why we did it. And it did start off as a medical cannabis plant bank in Canada, and it was about veterans in Canada. And it was about, if you have a variable product and a variable human being, and that product might change, how do you know how it's affecting people? You give them the ability to respond 1 gram at a time, right? Right. And then so when you move that over into the adult usage space, right, or the rec space, you're all like, how do you know if it's working? How do you know? Like, I mean, we've talked about this when I went through my bout with cancer last year. People, are you going to use cannabis? And I go, I don't know. I've got like 18 different opinions on it. So, I mean, I ended up settling on something to help manage.
Right.
But I had to go through this very complex cycle of trying to figure it out. And what we want to do and what Eric's doing is trying to figure out a way to provide a better consumer experience. Because if you're a light cannabis user versus heavy, you can't rely on the guy who's a heavy. He's got a totally different experience, right? And and so the ability to like, when it's kind of like, and Eric, here's the latest tagline from the company for you to use. It goes, it's when supply chain and consumers intersect, when they cross over. So at any given, somebody says, this is happening and I enjoy it. And you can say, because the lights went on at a certain time, the lights went off at a certain time. Now you've got some, like, it's a never, what Eric's building and what they're providing, and they're providing the top cannabis producers in the world, is, a never-ending focus group. And I know, in doing that on a blockchain and then providing rewards and tokens for somebody to be able to tell their story, like, it's cutting edge, right? So
no, dude, it's bananas.
And it's not about storage, you guys. It just isn't. It's about connectivity and communication. If you really think about it, when the supply chain, so what is the supply chain? It starts at the clone, it goes all the way, because you got to remember, cannabis doesn't stop changing until you ingest it, right, Eric? It's like,
it's constantly moving.
Like, what happens to half a batch versus another batch just depends on what happens in the distribution cycle. So to learn best practices is to really learn how to create a better consumer experience. And look, we all know that consumers are finicky, right? And they change. And so nobody wants to be in that position that they're changing, and all of a sudden one day you just stop getting orders because, it might not even be about the product, but they just, they've just got a different flavor for something else. You need to understand what's coming to run a successful business. And starting with what Eric's doing on the clone side, and at the seed level, is really about, like, the start point. It's about raising that kid, right? And then watching experience, and then, and then understanding that, having to be able to feedback against every moment. So it's a never-ending consumer experience about just creating a better product. And you know what? You're on the business side of this, that's just going to make your business more effective. Period.
Couldn't say it no better, man. That's why it's Brad Moore right there, man. That's why he is Brad Moore.
Oh, wow.
Hey, Jed, man. Jed beat Brad. Brad beat Jed.
Brad beat Jed, yes. Intros, baby.
We're going to have some good conversations, man. And Jed's been a all-star, man. We call him Michael Jordan over here, so he's shooting everything. He's shooting lights out. I dare anybody jump on the court with my man right now. He's a beast. And we're excited to have him aboard, man, Brad. So
that's awesome.
Jed, meet Brad, bro.
What's up, Brad?
Hey, Jed, how are you? Nice to meet you, buddy.
Nice to meet you too. Excited to be on the train here.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's funny. I keep getting these updates from Eric's, and I'm all like, you know what? I go, that guy that was on the stage with is that guy that's delivering these things. And, it's so exciting to get somebody like, something that you love and you've spent the time. And I got like $8 million into this thing, and like watching a guy take it to market and put it together, and the guys who's dealing with it going, well, I'm well known for my cursing as a Canadian, but I won't curse, but just going effing yeah. You know what I mean? Like effing yeah, getting done.
Man, thank
The
you for
show
having
is
me.
in full effect.
Yeah.
We can't be stopped. EMTRI is a beast. The project and the people behind it, all the connections and partners are all-star players. So, if anybody wants to know what's the latest, hottest thing in cannabis, it is EMTRI and all of its partners and the people that we bring forward to make this thing happen. This really is about the farmer. This really is about the consumer getting safe weed and an effective product, um, that they need. It's 420, and we would have to ask, do you know where your weed comes from? That's just the way we roll.
Perfect saying. And let me bring Jed real quick. Can you explain to people really what is, anyone that may not understand a clone?
What a
What
clone
is
is?
a clone? Yeah.
Yeah. So when you have a strain of cannabis, it comes from a seed. Cannabis is one of the very few plants that has male and female. So when they pollinate each other, you get genetics from a mother plant and a father plant. And so, just like people, when two people
Fuck.
procreate, they when they pollinate, every kid is a little different. They look similar, but they're different. And then when the consumer market ends up locking in on something that they like, they want it to be the same. The problem is that you have 1,000 OG Kush strain seeds. They're all a little different, and so they can get you high a little different. They can look a little different. They can smell a little different. Well, a clone is an exact replica of what we call the mother plant. So you find that one OG seed plant that you love. It's what you want. And instead of trying to breed it and get seeds from it, which are going to be all different, you keep it in a vegetative state. You don't ever let it go into flower. And you do that by controlling, how much light versus darkness it has. And then you take cuts from it and you can put it in a little rooting agent, and it'll grow roots, and it is an exact replica of its mother. So, we have these mother plants, and we can cut 50 clones off of them every 2 weeks. And now we've got 50 plants that are exactly the same. And so, as a cultivator, you're putting out a product that is 100% the same. So,
Wow. Now
Cool.
that brings us to the genius, that element added to the blockchain. How can we really track a seed from cell if we're not working from some form of genetic beginning standpoint? So how important do you feel that consumers will feel that information of the start point? Do you see that as useful information in the consumer market from your standpoint, Jay?
yeah, I do. I think the consumers are, have realized over time that, every time that they get a Granddaddy Purple, it's not always the same, and it's probably because either they got a Granddaddy Purple that was from a different seed, or someone changed the name on it. It could have been a Mendo Perps or Purple Urkel, and then someone called it a Granddaddy Purple because that's what their buyer wanted to hear. So
Gotcha.
I do think that the blockchain and the EMTRI technology is really bringing accountability and
Yeah.
consistency.
Facts. But the
Cool.
best part about it, it takes self-dedication of the producer or the nursery to do it. And how do you motivate yourself to adapt to a new tool? I mean, you're a different cut that I've met, but what is your motivations to say, okay, let me be about it? What was the driving force for you?
Well, the driving force for me, when we started a nursery in 2017, the biggest question we were getting was, how do I know what I'm getting from you is what you say it is? And so there was a genetic lab called Phylos at the time that everybody was submitting their stuff to, and they were doing genetic testing and seeing, 30 different people said that they had an OG, and 20 of them were pretty darn close to the same genetic footprint, or genetic signature. They would go, yeah, we think that seems to be the OG. And so we did all that testing so that we could prove to our customers that what we were giving them, sour diesel or OG, was what it was. And now, so the consumer has become more accustomed to really, knowing what they know, but then just wanting to really be on the cutting edge of, conveying what we're putting into our plants to the consumer. So when EMTRI came to me with the program, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, they did. It made a lot of sense to us too when we really looked at blockchain technology. Last question for you, Jay. You're gonna love this one. Lemon lung slapper.
I was just about to bring it there.
You go ahead
need to
and bring
talk
it there,
about.
back. Go ahead. I'll let you bring it in.
All right, check it out. All right, so first I want to make a special request. I don't know if this can happen, but I want to make this request. I'm so excited about Lemon Lung Slapper. Can't wait. Is there a way I could get a clone that remains a clone and and get the final product so I could smoke Lemon Lung Slapper with Lemon Lung Slapper?
I think you'd have to come up to the farm for that.
All right, cool.
You know what that means? Frost is muted, but you know what that means. That mean on the road again. Hey, Brad, we're gonna bring you one day, and you don't have to chime in. We're gonna bring you one day and go up there and shoot some of them things.
That was awesome.
You want to hang out with Lemon Lung Slapper? Well, we could put you in a greenhouse with some moms, and you can hang out with the moms while you smoke Lemon Lung Slapper.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm going live with all the mothers.
We'll put you in the
We're
corner.
going live on Instagram. Yep.
You all the mothers. With a bunch of
Hey,
babies.
Jed, I don't know what those mothers might look like when he get out of that garden, though. That's the problem.
Oh, they'll be standing tall, man. Nothing but love.
Hey, what up, Frost?
What's the word? What's the word, guys? It's sounding lovely, man. I'm loving the energy from everybody. Good to hear Brad's voice, Jed. You guys, you know what I mean? Excited about the whole EMTRI movement. You know, everybody who I'm talking to, they're loving it. So we're on the right track, man. Just keep that positive energy we got going, and we headed to the next level. And I'm ready to taste that lemon lung slapper myself. My lips been chopping ever since I seen it and heard about it. Like, lemon lung slapper, what? I need to get slapped by that.
And so Jed, being that lemon lung slapper is your unicorn. Can you explain the real quick, before Brad take us to the closing segment? Can you go ahead and give us the point on the unicorn and why you are so excited about the lemon lung slapper coming from Lung Candy Genetics? We're gonna give a shout out to those guys.
Yeah. So in the breeding world, like I was talking about the variations of the plants coming from each seed, even though it's the same strain. So, the lemon lung slapper is a cross. The father plant was lemon tree and cookies and cream, and the mother plant was apricot octane. And so those two were bred together, and then there was a bunch of seeds that came out of it. Let's just say there was 1,000 seeds. And so our breeder, Brett at Majestic, well, he's the Majestic breeder, and he he grew a bunch of these seeds and found the one that he just checked all the boxes for him. That is the unicorn. That's what we call the unicorn in the breeding world. It's the one. And all those popular strains that are out there right now, they did a big phenotype hunt. We call them pheno hunting, and it's all the same seeds from the same parent, but there's one that stands out, and that's the one that you keep. And so the lemon lung slapper is the very first unicorn from tree candy or lung candy genetics. They have a strain coming out called tree candy. So
okay,
there.
yeah,
But yeah, lung candy genetics.
So these motherfuckers just sitting around, and then they like, oh shit, let's smoke this shit, and lemon lung slapper.
Oh no, it's
where did these names come from?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
so that's another competition we got to create. So Bat, man, let's bring us to the end out, brother. Do what you do. I thank Brad for showing up. Jed, oh man, thank you for doing what you do and coming and being a rock star. Frost,
Thank
the
you,
brother,
guys.
thank you, and all the EMTRI team. I saw a few speculators, supporters, I would call them, for chiming in, popping in. I saw a couple cats. So, Bat, it's over to you, brother. The king, the
All right,
man,
so look,
the mission.
check it out. I'm a guy who sits behind a desk, right? So I have one more question for Jed about pheno hunting. What does that look like? I get a visual of somebody just around the yard looking for the perfect seed. But what does the actual pheno hunt look like? Are we just like looking at different seeds and looking through a microscope? What does that
No,
process
man.
even look like?
So it's planting 100 seeds, and
Uh-huh.
then tagging each seed, and you basically have a chart of 1 through 100, and the cultivator is watching how it grows. Some plants will grow tall and lanky, some will be more bushy, so immediately they're like, well, I'm looking for the more shorter bushy one. And then as it goes into flower, how the flower structure is, what the nose is, what it smells like. Is it pest resistant? Is it mold resistant? Some plants flower better in heat. Some are do better in cold. Some will have a shorter flowering time or longer flowering time. So the breeder is really paying.
Move to the left.
Yeah, you cut out a little bit. I don't know. You probably cut out.
Damn, that was so
You
informative,
lost
right?
the most important part, right?
Damn, right? I mean, shit. Fucking Jed, you had us right now.
Hey man, Jed is a mastermind, right? He knows what he's talking about. I'm 100% confident in
Hey,
everything
sorry
that we're
guys.
about to bring to the table.
Oh,
All
he's
good.
back.
There you
Kick it
go.
I
off.
don't
There you
know,
Wherever
go.
man.
you.
We
I
were
get
just
I
trying.
get phone calls coming in, and when it rings, it like boots me out or something.
Boots you off. Yeah.
I gotta block all incoming calls when I'm on this thing. But anyway,
But
they're paying attention to a lot of stuff, until the very final thing is smoke. What's the effects? What's the flavor? So it's very involved, and then so one before the plant goes into flower, before all 100 plants go into flower, they've got to clone them so that when they've gone into flower, they have plants that never went into flower that they could go, that's the one we want. So they could go to number 59, that's the one, and then they can say, all right, now number 59 is our mom, and we're going to clone it out. That's why, like, you've heard of gelato 33, gelato 45, gelato 41.
right.
Those are the different numbers of that pheno hunt. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And so they're similar but different. And so I don't know, you probably have never grown gelato 33 versus 45, neither have I, but They're different.
I got that shit, man. I got it in the backyard right now. What the fuck you talking about, man? I have plenty of
But but they're different. And from a nursery, I get people calling, going, "Hey, dude, do you got Gelato 41?" I'm like, "No, I got Gelato 33." Like, well, we're looking for 41. So,
Got it.
and I don't know
Wow.
exactly why, but that's what those people want. Maybe that's what their market wants. Who knows?
Wow, that's good information, man. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Appreciate it,
of
Jed.
course.
Like I said, I'm 100% confident. I learn something every day, right? And that's always been my mission. So we 100% appreciate, the skill set and the vision and the work that it takes for you to be a part of what we're building here. You know, for anybody who will ever play this recording, I want you guys to understand that it is our mission, it is our goal to make sure that the farmers and the guys who grow the good weed will be there to grow the good weed. And we want to deliver you the best in the world. Period. That is what we look for. So just it's impossible. I'll say this, and this kind of be like my closing segment. E, feel free to jump in.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to talk about everything that EMTRI has going on. It's a moving, living organism. It's adaptable. But one of the things that we want to put out there in the world right now is um, our DeFi line of cannabis. These are some of the first strains ever to hit the blockchain, right? We are reaching out to the creative community to develop product packaging names, strain names, whatever. We just want to put that out there for anybody who has a creative community of people who really want to be a part of what we're building. So, should you play this recording one day, reach out to us. You know, we're opening up the weed world to you.
Well said. Well put, man. DeFi clones. So make sure you put that down. Hashtag it. DeFi clones is something we're riding on the movement. It's a game changer. The news said it. The world is taking a hold, and with the unity of GCAC, Efixii, Abbey, EMTRI, Mendocino Clone Company, and others, we can't be stopped.
Indeed.